children, it's Mrs. Fussey and I'm really excited today to share with you one of my favourite stories, and it's called There's a Snake in My School. And I think here we can see the character of the snake. Now if I turn onto the back of the book, the blurb says, warning, there is a snake in this book, and in fact I've got my very own snake to meet you just before we start reading this fabulous story by David Walliams, the author of There's a Snake in My School. I've got a snake myself that I'd like you to meet. And this is my Penelope Python. And she's come to join us for the story today. And she's come to say hello to you all. So hello children from Penelope, Mrs. Fussey's Python. Right, let's get started and enjoy this fantastic story. Okay. Mr. Bright, the teacher, had told all the children in his class it was bring your pet to school day. Everyone rushed into the playground to meet the animals. There was a stupidly cute gerbil, a tiny goldfish, a fat cat, a 100-year-old tortoise, and a tall dog. Last to arrive, as usual, was a little girl called Miranda. Here's Miranda. She was riding on the back of an enormous slithery snake. Meet Penelope, my pet python, announced Miranda. Now, a python is a very large, heavy and dangerous snake. And Miranda's announcing to her friends on the playground, so she's telling them, this is Penelope. On seeing the snake, the other children screamed, "Ah!" Miranda loved being different. She always stood out at school with her individual take on school uniform, her cartwheels down the corridors, and her funny answers in class. A python is a rather unusual pet. So it's a bit different from the others, isn't it? A bit of a different pet. But Miranda and Penelope had so much fun playing together. For the little girl, so for Miranda, the snake would pretend to be a scarf, just like she's wrapped around here in the photo. A balloon, so here's Miranda holding her tail. A hula hoop, so here's Miranda with the snake wrapped around her and she's about to do some hula hooping. A telescope, so she's looking through the snake's open mouth at things that are far away. A trombone, so a musical instrument, and sometimes when they were both feeling particularly mischievous, a third arm. So Miranda's using her third arm here to bite the bottom of this man as he's passing. Let's turn over. Oh, come and give her a tickle, encouraged Miranda. But the other children were too scared. Penelope was a python after all, and pythons eat people. All the pets were frightened too. The large dog yanked on his lead, so he pulled suddenly, sending his tiny owner flying. The goldfish tried to hide behind some water. The tortoise made a rather slow run for it. The cute gerbil flashed her gnashers, so her gnashers are her teeth, and she didn't look so cute anymore. The fat cat just carried on napping. But Miranda slid down her snake. She tickled her python under the chin, and the snake smiled. See, she's very friendly, Miranda said. Soon everyone was gathered around to marvel at Penelope. The python loved the attention, and she made a climbing frame for all the children to climb on, steps for them to step up, and a fireman's pole for them to slide back down. Penelope even helped the children learn their numbers, although she could only go, children, up to 9. You'll have to have a little think about why that might be. This was turning into the best day of school ever. But then Miss Bloat, the headmistress, thundered into the playground. Oh, so she's walking forcefully, she's walking angrily, she's thundering into the playground. "There's a snake in my school," she shouted. Miss Bloat, the head teacher, didn't like animals much, or children. It's bring your pet to school day," spluttered Mr. Bright. I think he's a bit nervous. "And Penelope is my pet," said Miranda. "Miranda, I should have known you would have to be different. A snake is not a pet. It's a menace," snapped Miss Bloat. Also, a menace means it's dangerous. "Mr. Bright, all of these filthy beasts are confiscated." So that's an interesting word. So that means that they're going to be taken away. They've got to be removed. All the girls and boys shouted, "No!" as the headmistress stuffed their pets into the lost property cupboard. Except for Penelope the snake. Miss Bloat had other ideas for her. "This disgusting thing is coming with me," bellowed the headmistress. So she shouted. With that, she dragged the poor python along the corridor to her office. "Well, where are you going to put Penelope?" asked Miranda. "In the bin." "No!" Miss Bloat crammed the snake into her bin and slammed the lid shut. Then she plonked herself down on the top so the python couldn't escape. The bin rattled and rattled, but Penelope was trapped. You can see it here, children, look. "A snake in my school indeed. Get back to your lesson." Downstairs in the classroom, tears rolled down Miranda's cheeks. All the children were sad to have had their pets taken away, but no one was sadder than Miranda. The little girl feared she would never see Penelope again. At the end of the day, Miranda dashed upstairs to Miss Bloat's office to try to make her change her mind. So she knocks on the door. There was no answer. So slowly Miranda pushed open the door, only to see Penelope sitting in the headmistress's chair. Look at that, children. Miranda ran towards her pet and gave her a humongous hug. So a huge, huge hug, the biggest hug. Miss Bloat was nowhere to be seen. So the girl grabbed the key on the desk, ran to the lost property cupboard as fast as she could and unlocked it. The animals were overjoyed to be set free. So they're overjoyed, they're so happy. Then Miranda and all the pets slid down Penelope's back into the playground. Whoosh! Whoosh! The children shouted, "Hooray!" As all the animals are free. Penelope entertained everybody again, so she's keeping them all amused. She made a seesaw for them to seesaw on, a wheel for them to roll in, a swing for them to swing on, and a skipping rope for them to skip with. Penelope even helped some of the younger children with the alphabet, although it was hard to do an X. And you see here now, I think you have to think about why that's tricky for Penelope. As for Miss Bloat, she had completely disappeared. So she was never seen again, children. So Mr. Bright was made the headmaster. So he's in charge of the school now. Now the children were allowed to bring in all their favourite animals whenever they wanted. The school became home to every sort of fantastic creature. An ostrich, a giraffe, a tiger, a gorilla, an elephant, a kangaroo, a crocodile, a grizzly bear, and even a colony of penguins. So that's a group of penguins, children. They're called a colony, and they can be called a rookery and a huddle as well. But the star attraction was always Penelope. Then Miranda had noticed that there was something different about her python. See if you can spot what it is. There was a bulge. A big bulge in the snake's tummy. A bulge in the shape of Miss Bloat. But the little girl thought it best not to say anything. So have a look really carefully at that picture, children. What do you think happened to Miss Bloat? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Now, I really hope you enjoyed sharing the story with me, and I hope that you enjoyed meeting my Penelope, and we'll see you tomorrow where we can enjoy the story again. Okay, children? Bye-bye.